I've been embarrassed before, but never like that. Never by someone who was supposed to lead me. It's one thing when life knocks you down, but it's another when someone makes it their full-time job to humiliate you. I can still hear his voice that day. The way he laughed. The way everyone in the office went quiet, because when the boss is the one making the joke, no one dares to stop him. His name was David Clark, and he loved control. The kind of man who smiled at you just to measure how small you'd smile back. I was the new marketing assistant, bright, creative, hungry to prove myself. I thought working for a big company meant opportunity. Turns out, it meant ego. And David's ego was the biggest one in the building. He'd take credit for other people's work, mock interns during meetings, and twist any compliment into a power play. But I handled it until the day he decided I was his next punchline. It was a Monday morning meeting. Everyone was there, department heads, team leads, even the CEO visiting from New York. And there I was, standing next to David, nervous but excited to present my first big campaign idea. I'd spent weeks perfecting it, sleepless nights, cold coffee, 1,000 edits. And just as I started explaining my concept, David cut me off. He smiled and said, "Actually, Lena didn't come up with this. I guided her through it. She just made it look pretty." Laughter. Not loud, but enough to echo. Enough to burn. My throat went dry. I tried to respond, but he raised a hand like I was a child interrupting him. Then he said, "Next time, Lena, try to come up with something that doesn't need a man to make it work." The room fell silent. Everyone looked at me. No one said a word. Not one person defended me. And I smiled, because that's what women are taught to do when they're humiliated in public. Smile. Stay professional. Die inside later. That was the moment I realized something important. He wasn't just my boss. He was my bully. And bullies like David? They only understand one thing, exposure. But I wasn't ready to fight back yet. Not then. Not when every paycheck came from his hand. So I bit my tongue. I played nice. I let him think he'd won. But deep down, I was taking notes. Because I knew, one day, he would go too far. And when he did, I'd be ready. But what I didn't know yet was that his secret was already sitting right under my nose, hidden in plain sight. And when I found it, everything changed. What would you have done if your boss humiliated you like that? Would you have spoken up, or stayed quiet until you had the upper hand? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next in English with drama. After that meeting, something inside me broke, but not in a weak way. It was the kind of break that creates space for strength to grow. I stopped trying to impress David. I stopped trying to prove I was good enough for people who thrived on belittling others. But that didn't mean I forgot. Oh no. I remembered everything. Every snide comment. Every stolen idea. Every smirk when he thought I was beneath him. And while he laughed at me, I started watching him. Quietly. Carefully. Because sometimes, silence is more powerful than confrontation. Then one evening, while I was working late, I stumbled upon something. A folder on the shared drive, one that wasn't supposed to be there. At first, I almost ignored it. It had his initials, DC Media. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, and I clicked. Inside were presentation drafts, invoices, and client emails, all under the name of an independent consultant. Except the consultant's contact info was David's personal email. He was secretly taking on side contracts using company resources. Basically stealing clients behind the company's back and using our creative team's work to do it. I froze. Because suddenly, all those after-hours meetings made sense. The late nights he spent reviewing reports. The random calls he'd take and say, just business contacts. It wasn't business. It was theft. And the best part? I had proof. I knew I couldn't confront him right away. He was powerful, manipulative. If I accused him too soon, he'd destroy me before I could blink. So I kept calm and played dumb. I let him keep thinking I was the naive assistant who needed his approval. But behind the scenes, I started collecting emails, messages, file timestamps. Every piece of evidence I could find, I kept. And just when I thought I was done, I overheard something that made everything personal. One afternoon, David was on the phone, his office door slightly open. He was laughing, saying, "Yeah, I'll just have Lena polish it up again. She's desperate for attention anyway." That's when I realized he wasn't just using me professionally. He was using my work to cover his tracks. He was submitting my designs to his secret clients. That was the last straw. He thought he was untouchable. But I was about to show him what happens when you underestimate the quiet one in the room. Before I tell you what I did, do me a quick favor. If you've ever had a boss who took credit for your work, hit the like button. Let's see how many of us have had to smile through disrespect. Because my next move? It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was strategic. I reached out to someone I trusted, our HR manager, Priya. She'd been on the receiving end of David's management style too. We met for coffee outside the office, and I told her everything. The fake consultant name. The client files. The invoices. At first, she didn't believe it. Then I showed her the emails. Her eyes went wide. She said quietly, "Lena, if this is true, he could lose everything." And I said, "Good." Because he made sure I lost my dignity. That night, I went home and built something beautiful, a presentation. A perfect PowerPoint that outlined his entire double life, step by step. Every screenshot. Every fake client. Every stolen file. But I didn't send it to HR. Not yet. I wanted David to see it first. Because the real revenge wasn't just exposing him, it was making him watch as the walls closed in. Would you have exposed him right away, or waited like I did? Tell me in the comments. I love reading your takes. And don't forget, if you're new here, subscribe right now. We're building this channel from the ground up, and your support keeps English with Drama alive. The following week, our company had the biggest event of the year, the annual client showcase. Everyone was going to be there, the CEO, all our clients, and of course, David Clark, the self-proclaimed genius of marketing. I knew this was my moment. He'd been bragging all week about his groundbreaking campaign. The same one that he'd stolen from me and pitched to his side clients. So when the day came, I made sure to look calm, collected, harmless. The perfect assistant. The same one he thought would never fight back. When it was David's turn to present, he strutted to the front of the room like he owned it. He smiled at the audience, clicked the remote, and said, "I'm proud to show you the results of our latest project." Except, it wasn't his project. It was mine. And what popped up on the big screen wasn't what he expected. Because I had replaced his slides with my presentation, the one I'd made the night before. But instead of showcasing the campaign, it exposed him. The first slide read, "Unauthorized client work, evidence and timeline." Gasps filled the room. His smile dropped. He clicked again, desperately. Each new slide revealed another piece of proof. The emails. The fake invoices. The timestamps. And finally, a message that said, David Clark, secretly profiting from stolen work created by his own employees. He froze. His face turned pale. You could hear a pin drop in that room. Everyone looked at him. The CEO. HR. The clients. No one said a word, not even me. Because I didn't need to. My work spoke louder than any accusation ever could. He stammered something about a misunderstanding, but Priya from HR stood up and said, Lena showed me the evidence herself. Everything checks out. That was it. Game over. The CEO quietly told him to step outside. He never came back. Afterward, people came up to me, whispering things like, I can't believe you did that, and he had it coming. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel humiliated. I felt free. Because it wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming my dignity. The same dignity he tried to strip away in front of everyone. Later that week, HR announced David had been terminated for misconduct. And a few months after that, I was promoted to lead the department I used to fear walking into. Funny how life works. The same room where he once humiliated me became the room where I was celebrated. But the best part? He sent me an email a few weeks later, a pathetic apology, trying to explain it all away. You know what I did? I didn't reply. Because sometimes silence is the loudest answer you can give. And before you go, let me ask you something. Do you think what I did was too far, or totally deserved? Comment below and tell me. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It helps this channel grow and reach more people who love stories of justice served. Because this isn't just about revenge, it's about strength, courage, and knowing your worth. This is English with Drama. And I'm Lena Brooks, reminding you that sometimes, the best clapback is success.